Welcome to a brand new video, blog, webisode, whatever you want to call it. It's me yakking and I'm driving home. I just got done working out at Evolution and had a great discussion with a couple of the guys over at the gym and wanted to flesh out some of my thoughts and some of what we talked about. James Holmes appeared in court, the shooter in the Aurora, Colorado Dark Knight Rises screening shooter. And he is the shooter, by the way. David Gartenstein-Ross, our counterterrorism expert and friend of the show, had a great Twitter battle going on with somebody who was saying you have to call him a legend. And David's point was, you don't have to call this guy a legend. You know he was the shooter. He hasn't been proven guilty of that and could get off based off of insanity, or he had a bunch of other reasons listed. But there's nothing illegal about saying he is the shooter, even though he hasn't gone through trial yet. And the one point I thought was great was, you know, do you still call the Columbine shooters alleged shooters when we all know that they were the shooters and they never went through a trial? But the conversation we were getting into, one of the guys is pretty knowledgeable when it comes to somebody being insane or mental instability. And I've come to this conclusion, and we were talking about it, that, you know, there's few crazy, insane people that would go out and do something that he did. You know, most of those people end up hurting themselves. They don't go and hurt other people. You know, I don't think that James Holmes was crazy. At least not in the way that you and I would define crazy. It's not all that different from somebody who, and I'm not lessening the heinous crime at all. Understand what I'm saying and listen to everything I have to say before you jump to a conclusion. But it's not unlike somebody who goes out and robs for a living, or robs banks, or mugs people. Those individuals haven't decided to kill, but they still don't have an issue in terms of morality. You know, they're still willing to go and take from somebody illegally. And, you know, this guy was willing to commit and obviously didn't want to die because he was wearing full headgear and had, you know, something protective over his neck. He wanted to live. But when you think about, and this is not a justification, just more leaning towards the rationale of somebody that would go and do something like this. You know, you don't have a lot of friends. You don't have a job. You don't have a girlfriend. You live by yourself. You're going through school, but perhaps aren't happy with it. There isn't anything major on the horizon. He was going to be evicted from his apartment, I guess, because he was no longer going to school. I just remembered that. He made a choice. This was not a decision that he made out of himself. I mean, most crazy people are people that are mentally retarded. Very few individuals have circumstances where they're not able to still make a choice. He made a decision and a choice. Ultimately, he decided to move. Think about it. This is not a justification, but people are evil. We are sinful above all things. We have to work at being good. There are social norms that we have, and when you get to a point where you start loosening up those reins and certain things become more socially acceptable. Now again, I'm not saying that it's socially acceptable to go and kill people, of course not. But when we as a society end up opening the doors and loosening up things in terms of morality, people will tend to embrace that. I mean, you look at how far movies have come, and this is not a slam on movies, but how far TV has come, what's allowed on TV as opposed to what's not allowed on TV. There's a certain level of acceptance the public has. If you are an individual who doesn't have anything to live for, you don't have a higher calling, you don't have Christ in your life, it's not out of the realm to think that he's a normal person that just decided that this is what he was going to do with his life. This was his career path. He's going to move. He obviously wanted to live. He didn't resist the police. He was fully protected from all the gear that he was wearing. After the shooting, they found him out by his car. And unless he was going to get away, you know, an officer ended up talking to him, realizing he wasn't part of SWAT, and arrested him. He had no intention of dying because he knew that he was going to end up in jail. He was going to end up getting 3 square meals a day with a roof over his head, and could probably act like a crazy person and live quite a long time. He probably figured that this was a better life for him than the one that he was living. Not a justification, but more of a different understanding and perspective that some people are just evil. And he had no regard for human life and decided, this is the career path I'm going to choose. I'm going to go out with the bang, and I'm just going to live my life out in jail. You know, I watched the video of him sitting in his first court appearance, and all I saw was a guy who was in shock. Either he's making it up, and he's sitting there twitching and looking nervous and zombie-like on purpose, or that's what happens when you're somebody that snaps and decides that you're not going to adhere to the rules as we know it in terms of polite society, and you're going to kill a bunch of people, and you go kill a bunch of people. That's the end result. Think about when you've been caught doing something wrong. I was telling the guys at the gym, you know, there was a circumstance where I was talking with a buddy of mine, and he told me something in confidence and about another friend of his, and I betrayed that confidence because I was trying to help that friend out, and by giving this information to somebody else who I thought could perhaps help with the situation. But I did. I betrayed his trust, and I got called on the carpet for it. And there was just this gut-wrenching, feeling inside. I just felt so bad that I did that. This is somebody whose trust I don't want to betray. You know, think about those times when you've done something wrong, even as a kid, and that feeling of, you know, this guy went and took lives. And who knows, he may think that all the, 70 some odd people now that were injured, he probably thinks that more of them died. I don't think they tell him this stuff in jail. That was the reaction of somebody who now has to deal with the fact that he's chosen this life. He's chosen to move to jail for the rest of his life, for however long or hopefully short it'll be. He wasn't insane. He wasn't crazy. He just was a sinner who had no regard for human life and decided he was going to give up. This is the path that he chose. You know, I'm back to another point that I made on the show. How do you combat that? You don't. You're never going to be able to stop that from happening. No amount of gun control, no amount of weapons-free zones. He lived by himself. He didn't have any friends. He didn't have a girlfriend. His parents were out of state. And he made a decision, and there was nobody around to stop him. It's tragic and it's sad, but it's life. You know, and the media wouldn't act the way that they did if they learned to accept that a little bit. People would probably be less inclined to do it if there wasn't so much attention around it. If he didn't know he was going to go out with a blaze of glory and would become the topic of conversation for weeks on end. Or be the guy who we probably didn't even realize the worst mass shooting in, you know, American history. The first time it's happened in a movie theater. He's just evil. He's just a person that had no regard for human life and decided, I'm going to move. And it's going to be to jail. And I'm going to make myself famous in the process. Thanks for watching. Got cool announcements coming up about the show. Can't tell you, but a little bit over a month from now, we have something very, very cool to introduce, and I'm really excited about it. Show's not changing, not moving anywhere, but that's about all I can say right now. But I'm really, really jazzed about it. It's gonna be awesome. At least I hope so. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.